Members' business notice number 4. The member for Solomon to move motion relating to the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement.
Call the member for Solomon.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. I move the motion relating to the China Free Trade Agreement in the terms which appears on the notice paper.
Okay. I'll call the member for Solomon.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd like to start with a fact. Australian exports to China were worth in 2013-14 $107.5 billion. Under the new agreement, 95% of Australian goods exported to China will be tariff-free, which means there'll be good opportunities for resources, agriculture, manufacturing, knowledge and service industries. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's always hard to deal with people who tell deliberate lies, as is the case here with this China Free Trade Agreement. We have unions and their Labor members of Parliament out in electorates like mine telling deliberate lies. Another example of this deliberate campaign of lies comes from an MUA member posting on a Facebook site, Darwin Buy, Swap and Sell, organising a rally telling my constituents that I am responsible for selling TIO. Not true. They say I'm responsible for sacking teachers and nurses. Also not true. The federal government, as you know, Madam Deputy Speaker, does not employ teachers or nurses. The unions are misinformed and should stop telling lies. Here in this room, we are bound by standing orders and the language that we use. We must tell the truth, and there are certain words we cannot use to describe our opponents, even if they are true. Out there on the streets of my electorate, where the construction, forestry, mining and the energy union is distributing pamphlets in the letterboxes of Darwin and Palmerston residents, where Labor politicians and their staff are going on radio and TV, where the Maritime Union of Australia is going door to door telling people that hordes of Chinese workers are about to arrive and take their jobs. They don't appear to be bound by conventions or indeed the truth. That is certainly evident by their behaviour on this campaign. We are used to seeing certain degrees of conflict in political dealings. Those on that side of the chamber will often have a different opinion to us on this side. It's called an adversarial process. Through debate, the exchanging of ideas, we arrive at an outcome that should be in the best interest for all Australians. But never before in the 2 terms that I have served in this place or in my time in local government have I ever seen one side resort to such hysteria as I've seen from the Labor Party and the union campaign about the China Free Trade Agreement. Make no mistake, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is not about unions helping workers. This is about the union movement as the puppet master and the shadow front bench and their members as the puppets. Similar agreements are already in place with Korea, Japan, Malaysia, New Zealand, United States, Chile and indeed Indonesia. I don't ever remember the Maritime Union going door to door in Darwin warning about boatloads of Chilean electricians stealing Australian jobs. I don't recall the CFMEU letterboxing in Palmerston about the dangers of the United States Free Trade Agreement. Did Labor even vote against any of these? No, they didn't. There was bipartisan support. Labor voted for these agreements. Labor has supported all the free trade agreements which have gone through in recent times. Now, why are they opposing this one? God only knows. Madam Deputy Speaker, some of the Labor luminaries have said some interesting things about this agreement. We have Bob Hawke, who says, "I'm in favour of it. The party must not go backwards on this issue. Talking of opposing it is absolutely against Australians' best interests." Victorian Labor Premier, "The Chinese Free Trade Agreement is good news for Victorian jobs and I support it." The Labor Premier of South Australia endorses it. Former Labor Minister Simon Crean endorses it. Martin Ferguson endorses it. Even Bob Carr has publicly said the Labor Party is overblowing this campaign. Could it be, Madam Deputy Speaker, that once again unions are not acting to protect the workers but to protect their allies in the Labor Party? Could it be a coincidence, Madam Deputy Speaker, that anyone whose pre-selection or election funding does not depend on one or more of the militant trade unions is endorsing this legislation? Well, Madam Deputy Speaker, I will leave that to the public to decide. But I've got to tell you, even the Northern Territory Labor opposition member has said that he supports this. This is good for Territorians, and Senator Paris should come out and say she supports it, and so should her staff member.
I thank the member. I would like a seconder for the motion. Thank you.